Day 2 of the NFL Combine, officially in the books, and the defensive backs put on a show. Up next, I'm going to give you my winners, losers, and how that can factor into the Giants' plans come April. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Tommy's Takes. As always, I'm your host, Tommy G. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. I appreciate that. Please hit that subscribe button. Check me out on Twitter, TommyG105. Check out my Giants Country team. Always dropping some of the hottest Giants content analysis out there. Whether you like interviews, podcasts, tweets, articles, you like it, you want it, Giants Country has it. So follow along with Giants Country. Obviously, hit that subscribe button. And let's get right into it. Day 2 of the Combine. Defensive backs on full display. Giants very interested. Obviously having their issues in the secondary. But before we get to that, we'll do some house cleaning like we always do. Report came out today from Jordan Renan of ESPN. Giants are close to a deal with quarterback Daniel Jones. And the first number starts with a 4 of that price. So, all these reports, all this chaos that's been in the last 3-4 days of whether he demanded $45 million, whether he didn't, agent switching and all that, looks like he's going to get over $40 million per year. And it's caused a little bit of an uproar. Understandably, Jones maybe doesn't have the track record, established production that some quarterbacks have had that receive deals in that ballpark. But there's a couple things you got to think of when it comes to this contract. One, you're not giving Jones this contract based off of his production last season. You're giving Jones this contract because, one, he's had an amazingly tough out here with the New York Giants. And it is not a pity party, but year 2 and year 3 for Daniel Jones, basically a wash under what was probably the worst offensive coaching combination you could have in Garrett and Joe Judge, right? Jones also injures his neck during that time, missed a bunch of games. So if you're looking at it, year 1 as a rookie, almost breaks the pass and touchdown record for rookies before he gets hurt. And then you have last season, which I thought Jones did an excellent job running an offense that was catered to the player's strengths, not just his strengths. You had an offensive line that was still struggling. You had a wide receiver core that was decimated by injury, trades, whatever you want to have. You had almost a completely different receiving core by the second half of the year. So the coaching staff crafted carefully and constructed this game plan that Jones managed perfectly. And, he has all the athletic tools, dual threat, does everything you want off the field. So I think a lot of this deal is them saying, hey, he has not reached his ceiling yet, and we think his ceiling is high. Now, some people may say that's wrong. It should be off of what he's proven already. I'm not here to say what's wrong or right when it comes to this contract. I'm just saying I do believe he has a high ceiling, a lot higher than some other people think, and I think that's how the base of this contract got put together. And the other part of it is the market, right? I mean, the market is the market. And if you look at starting quarterback money, if Jones would be paid $40 million a year, that would put him right in the Cousins area, right? That would put him in that zone, and Ryan Tannehill. So it's not astronomical when you put it into those terms, and you haven't seen the details of the deal. You haven't seen guaranteed money, opt-outs, incentives. There's so much that goes into a player's contract that you can't just take a number for face value, for average annual value. So let's see what happens. No official news yet. Obviously, tag needs to be applied by next Tuesday, so we should have something probably this weekend. But looks like Jones is going to come back to the Giants, so that's some exciting news for Giants fans. Some of them, right? All right, let's get into the Combine now. Defensive backs on full display. An interesting day for the Giants because when you look at this New York Giants defense, secondary is not in great shape, right? Let's start with Xavier McKinney, obviously a cornerstone player for this Giants team. He's going to be around for a long time. But you have his partner in crime, Julian Love, who is a free agent and most likely going to walk. I don't think the Giants are going to pay Julian Love $8 million, honestly, when they're going to have to pay Xavier McKinney a boatload of money the year after next. So I think Julian Love is gone. You do have Dane Belton that was drafted last year at safety. You're going to see him get a lot of reps. Not saying the Giants won't take a safety. I wouldn't put it high on that list. But at cornerback, and this is an amazing cornerback-loaded draft, cornerback Giants have some issues. You have Adoree Jackson, who is your number one corner. Even though he's struggled with some injuries, he's a number one corner. He's played well so far in the wing system. After that, you don't have much. Aaron Robinson is a young player, injured, hasn't proven himself. Cordell Flott, extremely young at 21 years old, started to come on a little at the end of last season, had the big pass breakup versus Minnesota in the playoffs. You have Darnay Holmes, who's kind of been the walking penalty. He may be a cap casualty. That's it. You really don't have much there, honestly. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants, take a flyer on one of these cornerbacks early. And seeing the show that they put on today, I mean, unbelievable how fast some of these kids were out there. Just really, really remarkable. And we'll get right into it. We'll go winners, losers, right? So my first winner is Deonte Banks out of Maryland. I mean, my goodness, 4.3 40-yard dash, which was nice to see because he did get burnt a couple times last season. So you wanted to see him having that kind of that makeup speed, so to speak, and he proved it. 4.340, amazing job. He also ran extremely well in all the drills. He's 6 foot, 197, tracks the ball very well. Great route recognition. When I was watching Banks on film, that's what you see. He essentially could run the wide receiver's route for them. And that's what you want as a cornerback, especially in the NFL. In a passing league, this has become, you need a cornerback that has great route recognition, smooth hips, can sink flow, stay with the wide receiver. He has it. Only gave up a 77.1 QB rating in college. That's a low number, so that's awesome to see. Outstanding versus the run. I mean, when you watch Deonte Banks against the run, it's almost like a linebacker. He has a linebacker's mind in a cornerback's body. Very, very good against the run. Some opportunities. Not the fastest running back. Not the fastest cornerback. Play speed wise, obviously he ran the 4.3 today. Play speed could be a little better. That deals a lot with play recognition. Great with route recognition. Needs to get a little better with play recognition, and struggles in zone. So I think he can improve in zone coverage. I don't think he recognizes zone as well as he does man. Obviously mirrors man very well. Needs to improve in zone, but I love Deonte Banks. I really do. If the Giants could get Banks in the first round at 25, jump on him. Like I said, fast, recognizes routes like a pro, can play against the run. Giants need defenders that can play against the run. You've seen it last year. Giants struggled all season versus the run. Why not add a cornerback that can play great in coverage and play great against the run? So keep an eye on Deonte Banks. Another player I thought really helped his stock today was Julius Brents out of K-State. Projected day 2 pick, 6'2", 198. Destroyed the combine today. Amazing numbers in the vertical, broad jumps, 40-yard dash. It's like you created this guy in a lab and just threw him out there. Tremendous player. He might even be, I won't say day 1, but he'll be early day 2 probably after this performance. Maybe the Giants take him in the second round. Never know. So we'll see what happens there with Brents. But I thought he did an excellent job overall. I really did. I thought he hit every mark in every exercise they did, and he just stood out. When you watch the combine, you're looking for these players that just pop off the screen, right? They pop out to you, and you say, that's an NFL football player. That's an NFL starter right there. I thought Brents was one of those guys. Smooth body control, can redirect in any direction while playing cornerback. That's some of the things I've seen from him on tape. I watched a little tape after the combine. Natural ball hawk. Tracks the ball very, very well, which is big. Giants were dead last, tied for lack of interceptions last season. So you want a corner that could track the ball and go get it. Good closing burst versus the run. Natural, fluid movements. One thing he does have to improve, Brents, is his balance and his feet. See him getting tripped up a lot out there. Needs to really stay on his feet. Last thing you want to do as a cornerback is to be falling all over the field, getting blown by, tripping over your own feet. Definitely don't want to do that. Balance is extremely important when you're playing the cornerback position. Other than that, I mean, honestly, I don't know if the Giants will go cornerback in the first round, honestly, because they do need a receiver. I don't know. It's possible, but what you want to do is obviously best player available, but you really want to kind of knock those expensive free agent type players off that draft list, right? Obviously, free agency comes first, but if you don't get your guy in free agency, got to get him in the draft. So, for example, if you don't pick up a free agent wide receiver or a linebacker, you want to go pick those guys up in the draft anyways. You don't want to sign those positions because they're expensive positions. You want to draft the expensive positions, get those manageable contracts for 4 or 5 years. You don't want to. You see how much money wide receivers, linebackers are making in free agency. Now, there's a delicate balance for roster building. You need to have some veterans that could play football, right? So, very interesting to see what happens there. But I thought Brent's was awesome. Also, Christian Gonzalez, DJ Turner looked very, very good out there today. Two more defensive backs to keep an eye on. As far as losers, wasn't a lot. Jair Brown from Penn State, I thought he had a really, really rough day. Struggled in the vertical, struggled in the broad jump 40, struggled in the 10-20 split, struggled across the board. He had a 2.51 RAS score, which is brutal, absolutely brutal. So he missed the mark everywhere. That's really going to hurt his draft stock. But I would keep an eye on those two players I mentioned. Banks, Brents, those are two guys the Giants could be looking at day 1 and 2. Giants want to go Banks. I mean, you really can't go wrong, honestly. And, obviously when you see the 4.3 speed for Banks, that's intoxicating, especially as a corner, and you see the speed the wide receivers have in the NFC East, whether it's Devonta Smith, whether it's, McLaurin, whoever it is, you got some serious receivers in the NFC East, and the Giants struggled in the NFC East. So part of their blueprint, their roster building this offseason should be, how do we get through the NFC East? You're not going to get to the playoffs again winning one division game. So that should be a big part of their blueprint. Other than that, that's it for today, day 2 of the Combine. We'll be back for day 3. Obviously, this is the exciting time of the year for anybody that loves the draft. Prospects, right? When you get into the Combine, you really get to see the nitty-gritty player interviews, right? That's an awesome part of the process. Tomorrow is going to be quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends. Boy, oh boy. Giants are going to be looking close at those wide receivers. They did a bunch of interviews with first-round wide receivers. So big thing to keep your eye on tomorrow. 40 times for those wide receivers. Quarterbacks, probably wouldn't worry that much. Tight end, maybe. You never know. Either way, we'll be back covering day 3. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.